Morning, everybody, and happy new moon in Libra. A big day with the new moon in Libra. This is pretty awesome. This is like the true start of fall. Lots that you can do to really enjoy this new moon. So the new moon in Hey, Carlin. Oh, it's so good to see you, Carlin. Thank you so much for joining me today. Happy new moon. So the new moon in Libra is today, and really it's going to be a time in which we're able to create balance in our lives and actually get some satisfaction. That's really key to the Libra moon. We're all about balancing things. So we have the new moon in Libra today. It's Mercury's day, and Mercury, as you know, is retrograde. So what you want to do is make sure that you are leaving your schedule with a little extra wiggle room today, because it's Mercury's day and there's going to be a lot of communications today, most likely. And because Mercury is retrograde, you want to give yourself a little bit of extra space in your schedule. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Sin. Good morning, Jamie. I'm excited for this new moon too. It's going to be awesome. I'm super stoked. Good morning, Sin. Hi, Ben. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is so exciting. So this new moon in Libra today, the themes are partnership, balance, love, long-term relationships, which include your significant other, your audience, consultants, best friends. It's also about give and take. The golden rule: do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Justice, beauty, and harmony. So not only today, but for the 2-week waxing cycle that starts today for the next 2 weeks, you want to allow new things into your life to increase joy and happiness. So what a lot of people do, or what I advise some of my clients to do, is to write a wish list, a list of up to 9 things that you want to attract into your life over this next cycle. And then you can light a candle. If you don't know what color candle to light, you can always go with white. But because it's a Libra moon, you may want to do blue, which is a Libra color, and also pastel colors. But whatever it is that you want for the Libra moon, get a candle color that is reminiscent of what you want to attract. So love would be maybe pink, passion would be red, money would be green, etc. Stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on today, actually. A lot of fun things, I think. Essentially, we have today Monica Lewinsky in the news. Yeah, she's in the news again today. And she's reclaiming her story. Essentially, what had happened was that she's essentially on the coattails of the social media story about Facebook with this lady who was on 60 Minutes saying the whistleblower story that we spoke about yesterday. So following years of her being out of the public eye, she is now actually a activist against bullying and cyberbullying. And that is that's relevant because she told the anchor today that social media companies need to do better as scrutiny builds over revelations from a Facebook whistleblower who suggested the social media giant has been aware its platforms are used to spread hate, violence, misinformation, and has tried to hide that evidence. She told the interviewer that she absolutely thinks that social media companies, even though they are trying, they can definitely do better, and that they need to do better. So she was on this show, and I think also, we have this American Crime Story. Has anyone seen American Crime Story? Because they're doing a wonderful thing on Clinton from the impeachment thing. I don't know if you've seen that. I have wanted to see it, but I haven't seen it yet. But she writes, or she says rather, reflecting back to 1994. So it was wholly inappropriate As the most powerful man, my boss, 49 years old, and I was 22, literally just out of college. And I think that the power differentials there are something that I couldn't ever fathom consequences at 22 that I understand obviously so different at 48. So she's getting a little bit of flack for this. Somebody writes on Twitter, I'm intrigued by this interpretation of history whereby Monica Lewinsky is now a victim rather than a conspiring adulterer. I'm seeing some folks saying that Monica is now a feminist hero. Just curious about your thoughts, especially from the women. Yeah, it's interesting. I think that that's super fascinating too. Is she, I guess my question to you guys is she a feminist hero? Or is she a victim or a co-conspiring adulterer? That is a really good question. And yeah, Quilla Bright says, what does do better mean? I guess that she's saying that we should be, that the social media platform should be policing things much more than they are, which I think is quite an issue. You can't, Carlin says, you can't be an adulterer if you're not married. That's probably true. I think that they're just saying that because she slept with a married man, that she's an adulterer. So I don't know. I mean, do you think that she's a feminist hero, a victim, or an adulterer? Somebody else writes, well, this is a dispiriting question. She was young, he was charismatic, attentive, good looking, and the most powerful guy in the world on earth. No balance in that relationship at all. He held all the power. She was absolutely a victim. She probably thought she was in charge at the time. Interesting. Yeah. So who knows? I mean, I think that what's interesting about this is she was a hot ticket back then, right? She was sexy. So I guess my question also is it possible that, her feminine wiles, her sex appeal, and her beauty made Bill powerless? Or is that just a horrible, terrible excuse? I'd love to hear what you guys think. Let's see. Deborah writes, I think she was starstruck, kind of the baby groupies from the 1970s. Yeah, that's possible. That's possible. She means censor those we do not agree with. I think so. But yeah, I think it's really fascinating, the whole Lewinsky thing. I mean, obviously, he had a lot of power over her, but she was 22. She wasn't 14 years old. I mean, we all do things at 22 years old, probably, that we would regret, but I don't know how much of a victim that makes her. It's really a really interesting question that I'd love to hear your thoughts on. We all have the ability to make choices. Monica made a choice. She didn't foresee the consequences. Do we all really see the consequences of our choices at 22? Yeah, I don't think that. I think it's sort of universal. We really don't get that at 22. While you're at it, please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you are looking for a psychic astrology reading, just check out my website, psychicsun.com, and we'll read your tarot cards, we'll run your astrological chart, and hook you up with a reading. In other news today, revered Gemini short story writer Joyce Carol Oates may be canceled. I don't know if you guys know of Joyce Carol Oates, but she, in the writing community, is a big deal. She's like the mother of all short stories, and she is quite loved. But she's under fire for a tweet that she wrote referencing a New York Times article about pronouns. So essentially, nowadays, they is actually being used as a singular pronoun, and she says they will not become part of general usage, not for political reasons, but because there would be no pronoun to distinguish between a singular subject, they, and a plural subject, they. Language seeks to communicate with clarity, not to obfuscate. That is its purpose. So yeah, she's in big trouble. I think this Gemini didn't realize there was a Mercury retrograde. Geminis are Mercury ruled, and yeah, Yeah, she is a Gemini, which makes, Geminis are great writers. But they also can be it's possible for Geminis especially to get in a little bit of trouble under Mercury retrograde because they like to talk. But the question still exists, is they appropriate? I mean, when I was in school, I had this teacher, English teacher. She was so fierce and really, really strong. And her name was Mrs. Foss. And she said, when you do not know the sex of the person you're speaking about, to always say he. You always refer to he or him, the masculine pronouns. Now, I realize that a lot has changed since then, but this is when I was in high school, and Joyce Carol Oates is 84 years old. But people are saying that they actually is acceptable. Someone has lost their wallet. I wonder where they have gone. I hope they come back so I can return it to them. Enjoy, X. So she has a point. There's a point there. Additionally, somebody else says, counterpoint. When singular they is used to denote a person that does not feel like a he or she, it is adding clarity, not obfuscating. That is its purpose. You have the correct argument, but the wrong conclusion. Singular they is older than singular you, which I was like, what? Is that true? But apparently it is. I checked in Webster. It was Webster's. Apparently the pronoun they had been used previously. It was consistently used as a singular pronoun apparently since the late 1300s. They now, though, as Merriam-Webster says, is taking on a new use as a pronoun of choice for someone who doesn't identify either male or female. This is a different use than the traditional singular they, which is used to refer to a person whose gender isn't known or isn't important in the context, as in the example above. The new use of they is direct, and it is for a person whose gender is known or knowable, but who does not identify as male or female. If I were introducing a friend who preferred to use the pronoun they, I would say, this is my friend Jay. I met them at work. So yeah, apparently it's been used before and a long, long time ago. So I guess my question to you guys is, does Joyce Carol Oates have a point? Is it creating ambiguity? Is it a problem to use they? Should we just embrace they? I wonder what you guys think. So let's see here. Anybody have any comments about that? Any comments about they? Can we use they now, or should we not use they? Such a good question. Yeah, I don't know. My feeling is that since it had been used previously, and how we do use it when we don't know whether the person is male or female, why not? It might be a little bit clunky, but I think that in terms of art, especially in terms of writing, just so we keep the open channels of expression. If you want to use he, you want to use she in your own writing, when you don't know the sex, whatever. I think that you should do what you want in your own writing. Right as Rain says, the perfect solve is to just stop talking to people. That could be it. That could definitely be it. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. So Carlin says, wrong one. Let's see. Carlin says, I don't mind using it sometimes, but not when it doesn't make grammatical sense. Yeah, exactly. I think that's the issue. I don't like it. It sounds improper, but I'm old. Well, Joyce Carol Oates is getting up there. And apparently I'm old too, because I was always using he or the male pronoun him when I didn't know the sex of the person. Sin says it can get confusing if you use they all the time instead of he or she in your writing. I agree. I agree. Andrea says, I don't have a problem with using they, them if you do not know. Yeah, I mean, I think that, times are changing. Times are changing, so maybe we just use that pronoun. Maybe we just suck it up and deal. Additionally, somebody else wrote, I'm just glad Joyce Carol Oates doesn't write in my genre. So yeah, people are pissed at her. I hope that people can still enjoy her writing, because she's a really, really great story writer, obviously. And I think that's the problem with social media now. A lot of these, authors celebrities, of course, but even authors are using their platforms to voice their opinions. And it's really not necessarily a good thing for their brand or for their work, because I think we all have an issue at times separating the art from the artist. You know, Stephen King, for instance, goes on these tirades. So does, what's his name? The Republican guy. James Woods. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to now watch these people's work or read their work without, getting things obfuscated, which is what Joyce Carol Oates said. So yeah, I want to read her now. Let's read her. Let's read some Joyce Carol Oates. Where are you going? How have you been? And she actually has some pretty controversial stories too. It's pretty interesting. Additionally, Lisa Rinna is trending, and it's kind of quite the story. Quite the story. Apparently, she's getting sued to the tune of 1 mil for posting paparazzi photos of herself and her children, which I think is completely ludicrous. That she has to pay them now to get to use these pictures on her Insta. Apparently, she doesn't own paparazzi photos of herself, and neither do any of the celebrities. So it's kind of crazy. Apparently, an agency that represents paparazzi asserts that Lisa Rinna infringed its copyrights by posting photos of herself and her 2 daughters on her Instagram page. But Rinna is fighting back. She's a Cancer. She knows how to fight. She has a lot of grit and determination. People are wondering, like I'm wondering, how can they legally make money off her pictures without her permission? I was under the impression that you would need to have a like a model release form to use somebody's likeness and image, but apparently that's not the case with paparazzi, or not the case when you are a public figure. This is somebody who obviously is a photographer, or has a vested interest in photographers' work. You can't just steal someone's work. The law clearly states that when you are in public, you have no reasonable expectation of privacy. So whether someone photographs a celebrity or a flower or a cute dog, that is their photograph, which I think is crazy. But yeah, Carlin, she was in a public place. But I still think it's crazy that she can't post photos of herself without having to pay a lot of money. So it's interesting. I wonder if the paparazzi laws will get changed, or those copyright laws will get changed. But I would love. Oh, that's a really good point, Sin. Her children are not public figures. Totally true. Yeah, that's exactly the case. But my feeling is that she absolutely has a right to those images and certainly shouldn't be sued. And if anybody should be sued, maybe it's the pops for posting pictures of her kids. I'd love to hear what you guys think about that, because I think it's a shame that she has to be dealing with this nonsense with everything else that's going on. So that's about it from me, what I want to share. Does anybody have any questions about this new moon before I skedaddle, or anything you want to talk about before I leave? And while you're at it, as if I didn't say so before, please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. And of course, my website, psychicsun.com, if you are looking for a reading. Do you guys have any, oh, here's a nice comment, actually. Geminis tell it as they see it. Yes, they do. And they sometimes don't know when to shut up. And that can be a big problem under Mercury retrograde for us all, because we might say things without thinking clearly, and even our communications are rather stifled, I think. Like, I am a decent communicator, but today I'm a terrible communicator. Horrible. But My cheekbones might make up for it, per Carlin. My cheekbones are looking very pronounced today. That is a good thing. Yeah, I don't know how that could be, but that's great. I'm glad. Does Mercury retrograde affect Gemini rising? Well, Mercury retrograde affects us all, but especially if you're Mercury ruled. And that would make you Mercury ruled if you are a Gemini rising. Yeah, so Geminis and Virgos have to take extra care during this cycle until October 18th. But you want to make sure. Oh, thank you, Sin. I do appreciate that. Well, it's a Libra moon. We have to kind of look good because Libra's vain. But yeah, we can really utilize this retrograde to reflect and rest and take a back seat and sort of chill out a little bit. It's a perfect universe, just imperfect people. So do whatever it is that you can to relax and enjoy this retrograde, because life is slowing down a little bit. So that could be a really great opportunity. And for your new moon, be sure to, even if you don't light a candle, maybe make a list. It can be a loose list, up to 9 things that you want to attract in your life over the next cycle. And you'll start to see their manifestations in 2 weeks under the full moon in Aries. What's the only Rasta star sign? Gemini? I'm not sure. I'll have to check. But I have to scram. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day and a happy new moon. And if you have any comments about anything that we spoke about, be it Lewinsky or Joyce Carol Oates or Lisa Rinna, I would love to hear them in the comments to hear what you have to say. Have a great day, and I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope to see you guys really, really soon. Bye-bye.